Okay, so today's job is to get the front bogie of the Britannia um, completed, hopefully. So as you can see, it's at first glance it looks like it's nearly done, but after a bit of a closer look, I've noticed that the axle boxes are sitting too far out. You can see there's a gap here. This plate should be rubbing against the keeps, and on this side the gap is even bigger actually. In the instructions I've seen, there should be a spacer, just where I'm poking now, between the wheel and the axle box. I think there should be a spacer here. So if I push the axle box up, you can see actually that looks all right now. The second thing that's missing is the suspension. So according to the instructions, there should be 3 leaf springs and then a coil spring to take up the rest of the suspension travel. So I've got these, which are not really very spring. I mean, they're very stiff. They are the right length, but the holes, not sure if you can see that, but the holes are in the wrong place. So I can hopefully re-drill these and use those. Unfortunately, I've only got 5 of them. So my thoughts are is to use a slightly smaller leaf spring and just use two long ones, one slightly shorter one, and then the coil spring. I've got a big box of springs. Hopefully we'll have a coil spring in there, and I think just this rod here that the springs ride up against, hopefully I've got some sort of bolt to go in there. May have to make something. So in a stroke of luck, I've just found this bag with 4 Bogie distance pieces in it. So I have been told that these might be oversized, or certainly some of the early kits these weren't quite the right size. So we'll trial fit those first before Loctiting them in. So here I'm just removing all of the axle box keeps, which are all 5mm nuts and bolts, and then I can remove the axles. Just using a torch now to loosen any Loctite that might be on the axle, and then tapping it out with a punch. I think some of them were quite difficult to remove, so I think they did have Loctite on them. This works quite effectively. So I've just measured the back-to-back measurement on the driving wheels, and it's 118. And if I measure across these spacers in position, it's 2mm bigger. So that suggests that, and the back of the wheels is flush with the spacer, as you can see. So that sort of suggests that each one of these spacers is 1mm too big. Yes, so the spacers fit onto the axles quite nicely. So I think what I'll do is I'll Loctite those in position and then just shave a mil off each spacer, and I can hold this in the lathe quite nicely, and saves me making up a new mandrel. So I'm using the diamond tool because it's quite nice to get into a shoulder to do this, and then using the chamfer tool just to take the sharp edge or the sharp corner off. It actually took quite a lot of heat to get these off the axles. I ended up having to almost get them to a blue heat. Yeah, Loctite 638 really does stick. I spent quite a bit of time getting all the axle boxes working quite smoothly. This took quite a bit of fiddling, but we got there in the end, and needed to do a bit of filing as well just to clean everything up. Now I'm assembling the axles using Loctite to hold the wheels on. So that's the axles all done. As you can see, there's no huge gap there now. There's just a little bit of clearance just to allow it to wobble a bit. So really happy with that. I found a couple of possible springs. these will have to be cut in half, so we use half on each side. And that will go into this gap here. Springs were clamped together with a nut and bolt while I put them in the vise. I tried drilling, but that wasn't really working, so I've gone to an FC3 solid carbide cutter, and I'm just drilling with that, plunging it in, and using some Rocol cutting lubricant. That seemed to make short work of it. And finally we're assembling all the springs. So that's the front bogie complete now. So the suspension does work. I've put in the weakest springs I've got at the moment. If I just come in, so they are quite compliant, so that may be too soft. If so, it's no great shakes to just put in a slightly stronger coil spring. I have got stronger ones. So that's ready for paint. I don't know if you can hear, but it's absolutely hammering it down with rain at the moment, so I don't think we'll be painting today. Hope you found that interesting, enjoyable, I don't know, infuriating. So please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see when my next videos come out. And I'll see you in the next one.